July 1st, 2026. Present are Mia Griskowitz, Yana Abramovitz, Steve Brown, Mike Ciarcia, Norm Wiegert, who will be voting for Dan Flanagan, Roy Zettelmoyer, who will be voting for Con O'Leary, Sean Twitchell, and Judy Chapman. The Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of
the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Public input. Anybody in the room? Mr. Bracken.
Michael Bracken, 12 Tinker Drive in Windsor Locks. And I'm first going to say, even though I'm doing it as a courtesy by giving my name and my address, I'm not obligated by the FOI or by the Constitution to give you my name and address. It's illegal to require that in order to attend or speak at a meeting. Second off is that at the last meeting that we had on the 17th, you and I had a discussion over your asking for comments and statements on the ballot. And we ended up having a heated argument where you threatened 3 times to throw me out of the room. After that argument, you turned around and you said that somebody had brought to your attention that you should probably ask for a motion, and at which time you did so. You asked your board for a motion to bring about a question that could be put on the ballot. And at that time, I don't remember who it was that made the motion. I believe it was Con O'Leary, but I'm not sure. And we attempted, actually yesterday, one of your board members and I took a look at the minutes, and we attempted to take a look and see who it was that made the motion and to see what the wording of that motion was. And we were unable to find it. And that reason is because that motion is not in your minutes. And by FOI requirements, that motion should have been put into your minutes, as well as who it was that made the minutes, who it was that seconded the minutes, who it was that voted yay or nay for the motion, and whether or not it passed. The question is that when I voted, I came out and I approached the person that was on the Board of Finance, and I told him that the question that was on the ballot is not the same question that your board voted on the 17th, which would have been placed on the ballot. And that by you doing that, that was illegal. That the only thing that you can put on the ballot is that a question that is made as a motion that is voted on and passed as a motion. So you again have violated the Freedom of Information Act. It's like you're running on your own with no guidance, nobody in control, and the reins are free on the horse, and it's just going wherever it wants to go. So I ask you, Patty, you as the chairperson, you're supposed to be the one in charge. You're the one that accepted the motion. You're the one that ran the question of who seconded the motion. You're the one that ran the vote. Are you responsible for your board's actions, and are you the responsible person to be held when I file my complaint with the Freedom of Information? Because I was told, and I have to verify it, that the question that was placed on the ballot is the language that was used on Summers, Connecticut's ballot. And if that's the case, then why are we even bothering to meet? Because you're just doing whatever the heck you want to do. So my question is, why are we even here? Why do we have a Board of Finance board if you're going to do whatever you want behind our backs as taxpayers? Because we're the people that you want to tell what's going on. We're the people that control this board. And the thing is that elections come around so many times, and I don't know how many times each one of you, I believe, are elected on a rotating basis. I'm not positive, but you're facing your electors, and we're gonna vote you off. If you can't get your acts together, you're gone. And some of you know what you're doing, others don't. And right now, you know, with the way that you acted towards me on the 17th, when you threatened to throw me out of here 3 times, and then you violated again the Freedom of Information Commission rulings or act pertaining to following the guidelines of making a motion in order to put something on a ballot, you violated that again, and then, on top of that, you violated the State of Connecticut Ethics Commission guidelines on voting. So you've got 2 violations there from 2 separate entities of the state of Connecticut. So you have multiple complaints coming against you already. So you need to either go to training for FOI, and maybe that's something that our first selectman needs to turn around and say, you're taking a week off from working here at the town hall. Obviously, you can't do it now because you're in a budget crisis. But as soon as this is completed, he needs to send you to FOI training because you don't know what you're doing. And you're out of control. That's it.
Whoa, who's calling that?
Lucinda.
Oh, good job.
Anybody else in the room? Yes.
Hi, my name is Avery Stevens, and I love my program, Basic Park, and I love to swim, and it's really fun, and I don't want you guys to cut my program, because I love doing it, and that's what my part in it is.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Anybody else?
Bill, you go.
Mr. Russo?
William Rousseau, 407 Elmwood Drive. I'm addressing the whole board here. I certainly hope that the Board of Finance will not put us through the same drudgery of having to have 4 and 5 referendums. And I would hope that the Board of Finance would consider operating the town on the 25-26 budget with a 13% increase that would be strictly due to revaluation. We need a bare bones budget. All the wants need to disappear from the budget. We need to, as the selectman said, we just need to pay the bills and nothing more. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bill,
Yes.
we're gonna operate
Yeah,
until the next fiscal
Kurt Brace,
year
Elm
on
Street, Windsor Locks.
2.2. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. No, at first I just wanna thank the board, I know you're all volunteering your time, and it's a really hot day, and I'm glad to see everybody's hydrating, that's good, you gotta drink lots of water. My concern is that, and I've said it really a lot of times, and I may not have put in as much time as members of this board, but I have studied that budget, and I have listened time and time again to the audio from your budget, and I've tried to make it here for every meeting. And as I'm in my 60s, I've been in this town my whole life, and it's important to me, it's very important to me that this town remain affordable. Somebody described it as, you know, the last best hope of being able to afford a home and pay your taxes and be able to live here. It was an affordable community. And now I see us just edging closer and closer to other towns. I don't think that's what Windsor Locks is about. I think, you know, we have a tight community, we do have some good programs, but our residents have spoken time and time again, and they're saying that they are willing to give up a little bit in order to be able to afford their bills. There was a long history of us having corporate tax dollars flooding in this town. And we were very fortunate. I mean, we had 2 pools when other towns around us had no pool. We hosted swimming teams. I'm trying to think, like, Public Works put how many parks we have and how much mowing they're doing and all these wonderful things, and that's great. And you know what? When we had the support, that was a different story. But now, if we're going to depend on the taxpayers to come up with the money, well, they're saying they simply can't afford it. And that's time and time again. We played through this last year, and here we are again. And really, if the people that are showing up to vote, if they're telling you that they can't afford it, that it needs to be lower, I really, I want to be able to count on this board to do that for those people. If you want to live in a fancy community, there's plenty of them around, right? But I don't want to live somewhere else. I want to live here. This is the town I grew up in. This is the town I want to stay in. And, you know, you might say my house is worth more. Well, I don't want to mortgage it so that I can pay my tax bill. You see people going without. Last year it wasn't bad. I gave up the Disney Channel. This year, we didn't open the pool. You know, and it's not that, oh, I totally can't afford it or whatever, but I'm trying to be responsible to my family and to myself and stay within a budget. And I think that the ask was way too high. We started off way too high. If people are willing to give up, and honestly, the question was on the ballot. Is it too high or too low? Well, and maybe we can argue the numbers, but it's like 9 out of 10 people said it was too high, the ones that voted no. So it's important to them to keep coming here, and it should be important to us to honor their wishes. So again, I want to thank the board for their time, and I would say we need to explore some of these other sources of revenue, right? We have SIP funds, we have TAR funds, we have revolving funds at different departments. I personally, and maybe this is not what's in the charter, I haven't found anything against it. What I'm saying is that I think all of that money belongs to all of us. And we need to have a say how that money is spent, no matter what money it is coming in. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else in the room?
Yeah,
Mr.
I just wanna say that I appreciate everybody's work up on the board there, the finance board. I know what it's like to volunteer your time and go through the mechanics of doing what you're trying to do. My message is back to the town. I understand that people are struggling, trying to meet their bills and financial obligations. But there's a point of reality that we gotta take into consideration. Isn't it just as simple as cutting it down to a certain number that, without increase? We have things that we can't control. With the fire department budget, which I happen to be the chairman of the commissioners, we're getting to the point where it's affecting morale, all right? We got a firehouse with no air conditioning right now. We have adequate equipment, I think the town and everybody for what they're doing, but we also have unforeseen bills. We can't control some of our expenditures. It is what it is. Some of it's even mandated by the state. So I say, be careful what you wish for, all right? That's a plus for this town, that we have 50 active members, and I wanna keep it that way. You cut my budget anymore, heads up. That's my message back to the town. You just can't cut it to cut it. We gotta be responsible. In addition, as far as the fire department goes, and I'm gonna say it so everybody understands this, we are financially responsible and we contribute back with unscheduled funds. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the room? Do we have any hands raised online?
There's one.
They're on mute?
They're unmuted.
Oh, they are. does it have a name on it?
Steve K.
Steve K?
Can you hear me?
Yep,
Okay, thanks. I just wanted to say that I voted against the budget, and I said that I thought the budget was too high. That happens to be my personal opinion, and I understand other people have different opinion, and that's okay, but here's the way I look at it. I have cut things in my family, and I recently looked at getting air conditioning in my house, and I got a quote for it. And I couldn't afford it, so I don't have air conditioning in my house, because I can't afford it. It's just the reality of what it is. And I came from another town about 6 years ago that is doing exactly what's going on here, and taxes went through the roof. And it was always, the kids aren't gonna be educated, we're not gonna be able to do sports, all the typical things that try to get under the skin of parents raising their kids. And all 3 of my kids went through that school with some of those things not there, and lo and behold, they've got good jobs, they've survived, and they're great kids, and they went to good schools. So the scare tactics are very typical, I've seen them, and it is what it is. If people are gonna buy into it, I don't. I say you gotta cut. If you have less police officers on certain shifts, then you have less police officers. If you can't give somebody a raise, you can't give somebody a raise. If you can't hire somebody, you can't hire somebody. The reality of it is, the people who have voted and the larger percentage have said it's too high and you need to address it, whatever that takes. I don't know what it's gonna take. I'm not saying I have the right answers on that, because I don't know all the details. But the people are saying what they're saying, and you guys are called to represent the people. And I always say this whole thing in the politics of it. I worked with addicts of all kinds for over 25 years. And the same thing that they always wanted was more of what they were getting that was destroying their life. And I put the same thing on some of these town leaders. You want more, you get money, you want more, you want more, you want more. At some point, the answer is no, or you can't come out at 6%, you come out at 2% or 1%, and things are acted on accordingly. And you might not get what you want, and it is what it is. The townspeople have spoken, you guys represent them. And I would just like to end on this. There's a board member there that, this is his quote, "I believe it's my duty to ensure we have exhausted every reasonable alternative before levying additional taxes on the citizens of Windsor Locks." I don't believe you've done every reasonable thing to do that before you raise taxes. It wasn't a percentage, it was saying raising taxes on the citizens of Windsor Locks. I would ask that you guys honor that, or at least that one gentleman, which I believe he is. But I would continue to vote no unless there's some substantial stuff. And if the pool's not open, I'm sorry, but the pool may not be open. It is what it is. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate your service. Thank you very much.
thank you, sir. And I'm sorry, could I have your address, please?
South Center Street.
Thank you. And is that an online? Okay. Correspondence. We had an email on 6/27 from Mr. Kervick and an email on 7/1 from Ms. Palmer. So you may not have that one yet, me, I probably didn't send it. I'll send that one today.
I asked you to read it, Patty.
Yeah, I don't read the correspondence, Linda. Approval of minutes. So the last ones we got the other day were 6/17, 6/23.
Got that on record, right?
I didn't get a chance to read them, so if it's okay with everybody, I want to defer those to next time. Okay. Excuse me. I guess I would ask about the minutes of 6/17. that a person mentioned tonight that there was a board member who knew that there was something wrong in there. Was that brought up during the approval of those minutes?
The motion is in
The motion is in there, okay.
I can get it back if you want, I have it pulled up.
Well, and then I'm puzzled as to why a board member would have been talking to Mr. Bracken and say that the thing was not there and that there was something incorrect.
So, no, if I can respond to that, I was the individual that Mr. Bracken approached me. And the only reason I was looking at the minutes is because Mr. Bracken couldn't actually find them. So yes, I did call up the minutes, or look at the minutes, because he couldn't find them. So I was trying to help. That was,
Absolutely true.
So you
And we
didn't
couldn't
agree
find
that
them.
That it wasn't there?
correct. As a matter of fact, what I said was, I'm not sure that a motion was even made. I wasn't sure if a motion was made or if it was just done sort of by consensus. Because we did talk about that we were gonna take the wording from the town of Summers.
Mhm. Could you
And-
read the motion, ma'am?
And-
Sean Twitchell made a motion to add a non-binding question to the operating budget ballot question. Michael Ciarcia seconded the motion. Discussion regarding the wording of the question, which would ask voters casting a no vote whether they believe the proposed budget was too high or too low. Motion passes unanimously.
Sounds pretty good to me.
Right, so I didn't bring it up. I was just trying to help a resident find the actual minutes.
And what's the actual wording on that motion? If I could get it?
Read it again.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sean Twitchell made a motion to add a non-binding question to the operating budget ballot question. Michael Ciarcia seconded the motion. Discussion regarding the wording of the question, which would ask voters casting a no vote whether they believed the proposed budget was too high or too low.
All right, that's all I had asked for, just so you're aware of it, was the question, not who made what, or whatever, just the question. So, okay.
So we'll do the approval of the 23rd minutes at the next meeting. All right, we have one transfer tonight. It's an intra-departmental transfer. It is T2630 for the fire department, and we're asking for a transfer of $550 from the equipment contracts line to the diesel fuel line. Cover a shortfall due to rising fuel prices and increased call volume. Anybody have any questions on that? No? Can I get a motion to approve T2630 in the amount of $550?
So moved.
Sean makes the first, can I have a second?
Second.
Judy makes the second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Versus to
Opposed?
read the second.
Abstained? Motion passes unanimously.
And the original for you after.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Okay, next item is to review the results from the referendum yesterday and to discuss changes that need to be made if needed for the next referendum, which will be on July 14th. And as Mia mentioned, this is our only microphone, so as people speak, if you could speak loudly enough so it gets into the recording. Excuse me. As was mentioned, the vote was very strongly, no, and that the budget was too high. I don't know if everybody's seen the numbers, but that told us that the budget needs to come down. Of the other two questions, that's for the first question. The other two questions also were no by a little less, but were also no votes. So I'd open it up to discussion on what we might want to do with the budget for the next referendum. As everybody who was here knows, the selectmen set the mill rate for this year at 22.25. If we worked off of that number from the last budget that was out there to where the 22.25 would take us, I believe that we calculated that it would be $635,000 that would need to be taken out of the budget. Sorry, we did some quick calculations after the last meeting. And that was the number, right, Yana?
Correct.
Excuse me. So, does anybody have any proposals, on what we might do to get to that number or lower?
Once the cuts are gonna have to be made, I don't know where else you can take it from if you don't start cutting. My humble opinion,
If you don't start cutting what?
I think we're gonna have to start cutting in the manhole, you know? I think we're gonna have to start making cuts. Not just around the edges, but real cuts. Hate to be the one to say it, but it looks like it's gonna have to be. Just what the people came and voted for. We're not doing our job, we're not listening. If we don't act, we're not listening.
Okay, and did you have any proposals for,
Off the top of my head, quickly, without having any numbers with it,
sure,
police, one. Public works, one. We can debate those and we can go on. If you have to cut, next, you want to. Like a pool boy or. You gotta make a meaningful cut, so I'm just throwing that out there, no?
Yeah,
It's-
no,
It's open for discussion, but I think that's where we gotta start.
so, I will just say that my thought pattern on this, when we were looking at it, knowing since yesterday, since last evening, that we were definitely gonna have to respond with more cuts. I think we would be remiss in cutting any of the public safety items, meaning public works, fire and police. There are mandatory items that you need to do, and there are, as everyone keeps saying, wants. There's the nice to haves. And it seems to me other things that we have are the nice to haves.
Well, if you can get 600,000, I'm all for it, I just, if you have an idea.
Well, unfortunately,
I was the first one to throw it out.
yeah, no, I
No,
appreciate it.
if
I'm
you
just,
do, then.
I'm giving my opinion on top of your opinion. And as much as I would hate to do it, cause I know it's gonna be more painful, not to say that this is a want and not a need, because a town needs, a good education system. I think a good chunk has to come from the education system. Cause the voters have come out and said no.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so there's gonna have to be bigger class sizes, there's, you know, and I hate when people start saying the threats, cause it's not a threat. I don't know where people think this money is coming from. The other things that we have, the park and rec, as somebody said, if you have to close the pool, you have to close the pool. I would suggest, money coming from park and rec. The library, people love the library, but
Well, here's the
the
thing,
people that use the library, is that the same as the people that need public safety?
you charge the kids to go swimming. You charge a little 11, 12-year-old kid to go swimming by the day or by the hour or whatever. And yet, you let them go to the leaf pile, do truckloads of leaves, and you don't charge anything for those stickers. But yet, if you go swimming, you gotta pay. If you wanna dump your leaves, clean your yard, you get a free ride. That's, well, you can look at that. It's just a thought. You get that sticker for free. Why? Why?
Don't know. the
You gotta have
answer to
public
that.
works, people there working it, maintaining it, working it. You're giving away free stickers, but yet you're charging a kid to go swimming. It just, I scratch my head. Just throwing that out there.
Anybody else thoughts?
I think your thoughts are fine. You know that, I think it was a couple weeks ago, I threw out a laundry list of cuts that were a little higher than the 635 we're talking about now, but I would agree with you directionally that, I believe it was after the first vote, I think we did like a 60-40 split between education and the town, and if that's the direction we're gonna go, I'm okay with that, I can't argue that. As far as the specific places, at least on the town side, because clearly the Board of Ed is just the Board of Ed, if it's the wants, then certainly, let's specifically talk about those and, we'll put something forward.
So, I didn't finish with all the ones
No,
I had, I'll
sorry,
just give,
sorry.
that's okay. I'll give you the ones I have that get up to the 635, and then
Okay.
I want everybody to talk about them, so. Park and Rec, 100,000, library, 135,000, senior center, 100,000, Board of Education, 300,000. Uh, 100,000, yeah. I read them.
Yeah,
Look at my chicken.
that's the threat.
And they say it's no. Need to cut millions.
You know, and again, what that did in the pattern that I did it, as you know, none of us wanted to cut anything from the first budget, but we have to, because that's what it's being called for. So exactly what I did here was looked at things that are mandatory, things that have to be taken care of, things that are public safety versus things that are, it's great to have these in the town, but if you don't have them, it's, your taxes are less, I guess. So.
Yeah, I mean, like, the police, public works, you know, youth services, social services, some of those items are, you know, they're services that benefit, you know, the major populace, not just like one demographic, whereas, you know, you have, you know, the senior center that has one demographic, you know, the park and Rec school has another, and then the library has their own demographic, so, you know, looking at what would kind of minimize the impact for public safety and services that residents rely on, I do agree with Patty in going in the direction with those cuts.
So, yeah. Would you expect specifically for Park and Rec and Senior Center, that they would come back at some point before the next vote to say, here is specifically where we're cutting, here are the line items, like the tax collector did?
Sure.
Would that also be the same for the Board of Selectmen, specific to the $80,000 from the previous round?
I think you would answer, I would say yes, Mike, because I would think you would want it on everything,
Yeah.
but I think you got an answer on that it wasn't possible to do yet. Would I expect it? Yes. Are you gonna get it? I don't know. I can't answer that part of it for you.
All right, thank you.
And I know we've said this in the past, that, you know, directionally, this is good, you've said this is a good start. I mean, are we still not getting there until we get to the 2 million, or, I know we're getting closer, obviously, we've made tons of cuts since the
Right.
very first budget,
Right,
but,
so we may, exactly, so when I said that I was looking for the 2 million in cuts to get us down to a, you know, very close to a cost of living or inflationary increase, we did, I believe it was 117,000 the last round, now you add, whatever, 635,000, so yes, so that is much closer, we're at whatever the math is, you know, 750 or whatever, 800,000, so yes, we're much closer. I'm still not there, but we're moving in the right direction. So, I mean, I think if you run the math, you're still looking at roughly, double the rate of inflation spending increase, which for me is still too much, but that's the same position that I had however many weeks ago.
so you would still be looking for about another 1 million in cuts?
Yes, yeah.
Are you
And-
taking into consideration, the debt payment? Are you taking out the debt payment out of your rate of inflation calculation?
No, I'm not,
How comes?
because it's a cost that has to be paid. It's an increase to the taxpayers.
Sure.
So, I mean,
But that's the increase that the taxpayers voted to have last year.
correct, yep.
You're trying to reduce this year budget at the expense of the essentially mandatory expense that the people voted last year.
I mean, an increase is an increase, a dollar is a dollar, so
It's
yes,
pathetic.
so.
Really? What'd you say? It's
She
pathetic.
said it's pathetic.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
I think
ask-
your comments
I'm gonna
are-
ask the audience
Pathetic.
to not comment. Anybody else?
So, just so I can have an understanding, so the mill rate's been set. At this point, there's really no other, past this, there's no other decreases that can occur, because the mill rate is what the mill rate is at this point.
Okay.
So, I'm asking, so at this point, if say this gets voted down and we go to another meeting or another, at that point, we're just kind of shifting the money around to get to the dollar amount that we need to get to.
I 100% disagree.
I'm not
Yeah.
making a statement, I'm
Yeah.
asking a question.
Right,
Is that
I mean, you brought it up many times, well, that this budget that's being voted on has over $2 million of one-time revenues.
Correct.
So if, it's an if, right, if this budget, the fourth vote, doesn't pass, and we have to go out, we have to go again, and people are saying it's too high still, then, from my perspective, we would still have to cut expenses, and to make the budget balanced, because I believe we wanna present balanced budgets, right, revenues equal expenses. If the expenses come down, to me, the logical place to take the revenue from is the one-time revenue. So just that, I'm gonna use the same number. If we have to cut another $635,000 next time, or if, it's an if, then we know we've got over $2 million of one-time revenue. So we would just reduce that. That's what I would do, not we. That's what I would advocate for. To say that you're just shuffling money around, I don't look at it that way. I'm sure there's more than one approach. I'm sure we could shuffle, but it's not something that I would necessarily advocate for. But it's one step at a time. The Board of Selectmen took action tonight, so they set the mill rate. I agree. So that means the current year taxes, which is gonna be, 40-something million dollars, that's kind of set.
Yeah.
I agree with you. But it doesn't mean that all the revenue numbers are set.
Yeah, so, well, the residents' taxes, like we come back again, the amount that the residents are paying in taxes is not going to change.
Right.
That number is not gonna change.
Yeah.
The only thing that would change is, like you're saying, either we don't use as many of the one-time revenues when we
Right.
make cuts to the overall budget,
Yeah.
or we do something
Yeah.
different. But the overall taxes that folks
Right.
are paying is not gonna change.
Correct. So if it passes, that, great, then we did it in 4, and that's a lot less than last year, so that's fine.
Alright, thank you, that answers my question.
Yeah.
To get to the cuts that we think we need to do, the only way you're gonna get there is decrease in personnel. I hate to say that, but somewhere we're gonna have to decrease personnel. Police department,
Which is what
maybe
Norman
more.
said.
Unfortunately, you're right.
And no one likes it.
You're right.
No, God knows I hate
It's
it.
the last thing I wanna see,
Yeah.
but
These are my neighbors, these are my friends, but this is not what we're here, we're voted here to do a job. And if we don't listen to what the people say, we're not doing our job. I hate it too, Roy, I
I mean,
really
one
do.
police officer
Sad.
is $100,000. I mean, I wouldn't suggest more than that, but I think that's a start. Maybe 2, but I don't know what the contract says or anything like that as far as coverage to have and all this stuff. Because we might be going to a lot of overtime again. So, kind of a little tricky balance. But, you have to look at personnel cuts to get anywhere close.
I agree.
So what would you like to propose?
Well, police department, I'm proposing 1 or 2.
Well, we wouldn't propose what they need to do with it. How much money would you propose cutting?
$200,000. Would be my suggestion for the police department.
Okay, we only need 800,000 more. What else you got? Or anybody else that has any ideas?
I mean, if we're going above the 600, I mean, there's more money in the library. I mean, was it $470,000 there? For the total budget, the library? So, another 100 from the library, bring it to 230.
How much more?
235.
Thank you, I'm sorry.
Yep, no problem. What's up?
Not an easy task.
Might have to interject it.
Does anybody want to dispute any of the stuff that's been put out there so far? Or comment on it, or any other changes?
So, I mean, I wanted to talk about the school a little bit. So I know, I think it was originally proposed at 300,000. So that'd be 300 on top of the 600. So 900 total. And then whether you want to or not want to count the 800,000 that wasn't there. I mean, I would propose to do 200 from the school instead of 300. So 200, 600 plus whatever, 300 would be my rebuttal to the school.
Anybody thoughts on that? With the ones that have been proposed so far, it was 935,000. We were almost to the million. Putting 100 back in, then we have to get. $165,000 still. I'll write it down, Sean, since no one's really said anything. Anybody got any ideas for 165,000 more? By the way, I'm a no vote on this, just so everybody's aware. No? Do we wanna go with just what's there so far?
It seems like, Patty, I think your suggestions are fine. Yeah, sure, we can nickel and dime the four individual amounts, okay? But given where the mill rate is, or, because of the setting of the mill rate and what's needed to be cut, it seems like that's a starting point. I mean, if it doesn't pass, then we gotta come back. It gives us all time to look and relook at where else to go to.
Okay, so that's 835,000 total. Broken down, 100,000 park, 235 library, 100,000 senior center, 200,000 board of ed, 200,000 police department. Does everybody agree with that, that's what the totals are
Yeah.
being proposed? Okay, I'm gonna think back and remember. Did we just vote on the cuts at the last ones, or we didn't go into each individual budget and say what the new total would be?
We just took the total amount.
Total amount of the cuts and made a motion for the cuts as outlined for a total of that dollar amount? Yeah? Okay, does anyone wanna make a motion to make cuts as proposed this evening in the amount of $835,000?
So moved.
Sean makes the first, can I have a second?
I'll make the second.
Judy makes the second, discussion?
Family.
All those in favor? Opposed?
Opposed.
Opposed? What would you vote? Yep, tie vote, the motion fails.
make a new proposal?
Yep.
Can I propose that, we put back the 200,000 for the police, and then leave everything else as is?
Mhm.
So then we're still keeping the idea of safety and services that the town needs intact.
And that would take us back to the
635.
635.
What do we-
Anybody have any comments on that?
So that's just to clarify, that's the original proposal that Patty had indicated.
No, I believe the library has increased 100,000 from my proposal,
Oh, okay, so it's,
because we took 200 out of the Board of Ed, I mean,
So-
100 out of the Board of
alright,
Ed.
so it's Park and Rec 100, Library 235.
Yep.
Senior Center 100, and Board of Ed 200. Okay,
Yep.
thank you, thank you.
Any other comments on that? And that'll take us to the level of the, what the mill rate was set up.
Not gonna pass.
Can I get a motion to make cuts to the budget in the amount discussed this evening of $635,000?
So moved.
Sean makes the first, can I have a second?
Second?
Judy makes the second. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Opposed?
3-3, it fails. Okay. What else does anybody have for proposals? Anybody wanna throw any other numbers out?
I mean, I'm gonna vote no, but I'll make the motion for yours, which I don't think I should, but I will. I mean, I guess, can we discuss, what's the concern with the chair's original idea?
Oh, I have no concerns with the chair's original idea. I think the concern, it sounds like based on the last few votes, is around the 200,000 for the police. So I know.
But maybe I got confused, the last vote didn't include a cut to the police department.
And that turned Roy's vote to.
Oh, I see, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, it seems like based on the way the vote's been going, it's, that part is where it's hinging. So I guess Roy, if we're, I don't know, for discussion purposes, if there's an amount between 0 and the 200 that you'd be open to just for discussion purposes, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, one thing is
You need to speak up,
that's
Roy.
One officer would have to be legal. That's where you're gonna get $100,000, definite $100,000, instead of saying taking it out of overtime budget. So I'm on the police commission saying this, so I'm not too thrilled about it.
Yeah.
So we're clear, cause I know we're talking numbers, so we're saying $100,000 is like one officer, so $100,000 versus the 200. Is what you were.
I can go with that.
So would you wanna re-propose and make that proposal and go with 100,000 from the police and leave everything else the way it is?
Sure.
And then that would be 735,000. Can I get a motion to approve the cuts to the budget as proposed this evening for a total of $735,000?
So moved.
John makes the first, can I have a second?
Second.
Roy makes the second. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Opposed?
Opposed.
Passes 4-2. can you show us on the sheet, is that possible to, Steve, to, or I don't know if with the Zoom in here, if we can or not, can we show what that'll do to the mill rate?
We cut total of 735.
735.
It's gonna be total of 2221.
2221, so a little bit lower than what was set, that's okay.
By 100,000.
$100,000, yeah. And I think we looked at, one of the selectmen had the assessor look at the numbers for, what that would do for taxes, and I think you verified it by looking at your spreadsheet, and it was about $4 a household,
Yes.
about that, right? For the $255,000 house, is that which one you looked at?
Yeah.
How about for the $300,000 house?
Around $5.
$5 change per month? For those cuts?
We talked about total increases between $50 and $60. I mean, so obviously when we decrease per month, that's a very, we're talking about very small number.
Yep.
Because annual tax increases are very small.
Okay, where's my agenda? Anything else on this? Public input again. Oh, I'm sorry, hold on, please.
Don't we have to go through capitals and,
Oh, yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Sean. Does anybody wanna make any changes to the TIF or capital budget? I'm still of the same mindset that I think once the operating budget passes, those have passed. I don't think we need to make any changes to those, but I'm open to any suggestions.
Yeah, but they voted no, Patty. They voted
I'm
no.
well aware.
No, so if we don't do anything, it's like we're just not listening.
What do you wanna do?
I don't have, I'm just saying.
You gotta have an answer.
Yeah, I know, I'm just saying though, we gotta collectively come up with something.
Okay, what do you wanna
I
do?
understand we can't ignore it though.
Okay,
So,
what do you wanna do?
there was 3 projects in there, right? There was the pipe for the school, the breathing apparatus for
And
fire, and security.
Yeah, those are the three.
I mean, what if we do the sewer pipe and the breathing apparatuses and forego the security? I don't know if that's a good option, but like they did vote no.
I don't believe it is a good option. I did get, some emails from residents, one of which, I think I put in a couple weeks ago, that said the safety and security of people in the building shouldn't be, something that we should be cutting.
That's
We already cut money out of it.
one of them, all right. What is the other one?
The other capital items?
Yeah.
There's breathing apparatus for the fire department, and then there's a sewer pipe in the front of the high school that's failing.
And from my understanding, it's like on the brink of flooding, which will cause more damage.
Is there another?
Mike, what do you think?
So it's unfortunate that neither of those two passed, but like I said, the last time, I went along with keeping capitals flat, but this time I do think we need to lower it at least something, because the voters did vote no again. If I can ask a question, and not to put the superintendent and the fire chief on the spot, but since it involves both of you, I mean, Sean, you have your pulse on the largest voting block in town, and the fire chief, I would argue, has his pulse on I would say probably the 3rd largest voting block in town. Maybe it's probably 3rd, behind the seniors. And, on this board here, sure, we can discuss politely, the differences related to, taxes and too high is too low. But in this case, this is not gonna impact taxes, right? The money, I'm talking about the capitals, right? The money is already in possession of the town. The school is gonna benefit I understand, you can't show off a sanitary pipe like you can a new track, I understand that, okay? But nonetheless, it is a benefit to at least one of the buildings, right? On the fire department, you know, obviously you've got those self-contained breathing apparatus, and there's a piece in there for security at the 4 Volunteer Drive location, right? And those are 2 huge voting blocks. And by the way, since the beginning, right, unlike question 1, since the beginning, this board has been unanimous in supporting those projects. Again, I know I'm putting you on the spot, but you have the pulse better than we do. Why do you think that particular question is failing so bad? I understand about question 1, I get that. But in question, I think it's question 3, what do you think? Is there any advice you can give us to help us so we can at least get that stuff passed? Because I think we're all, well, at least up to this point, we've been unanimous in supporting that stuff.
I think it's understanding exactly what it's covering. I think they're just looking at a dollar and not understanding what it entails. So I think it's education on what is behind the number.
Yep. Vote no, just a vote. Yeah.
That's what I think it is.
Chief, do you have any thoughts?
I think it's pretty much the same with us too. You know, they don't truly understand. With us, it's a rotating program, or it's an ongoing program to sustain.
Of course, right.
By
OSHA guidance.
By charter, by law.
Okay,
you know.
right, yeah,
So,
yeah.
And I think it's a lot by voting no on the first one, they just gonna vote no all the way through.
you're right.
I
I agree with
No
you.
to everything, no matter what it's for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
part of it could be education, Mike, how could we get that out there? I mean, we talked about it when we voted on it originally. Do you think it's just more, posting of information to say what those last 2 questions entail, or? I'm at a loss for
Yeah.
that, because even something else that I wanted to talk about with this that I forgot, is that, some people were confused by the non-binding question. And although we think it was pretty clear,
yeah.
does that need to be even clearer, you know, and I'm not.
Yeah, so yeah, good questions, and I wish I had the answers, right?
No, I know.
If I had the answers, I wouldn't have put the 2 gentlemen on the spot, and, so, I don't, but it just.
Were there more yeses this time on those 2 questions than before? You don't have to give me the numbers, I thought there were
There were less.
significant
that's
more,
the problem.
or is it just a few more?
We're not selling it right.
Can't answer that.
There was more yeses on those
There
questions.
were more yeses than before?
But the voter pool is also shrinking too, I think
Yeah,
it started out with
that's
a
true.
really high amount, and we're starting to dwindle down.
The other thing in our case is, the expenditure won't go away, it's just gonna defer it out further
Right,
and be more of an issue with
Right.
the next budget, so.
yeah.
In our case, it's gonna
Ours, if we don't replace those bottles in August, we
Yeah.
get fined per bottle per day.
Yeah, and as
So
much
that's,
heat as we might take, in this particular instance, we are,
At the end of the
we
line.
are all aligned, well, at least up to this point, right? I mean, you know, to Patty's question, if we keep it the same, I just think philosophically, I do need to vote no, not that I want to, but if the voters are voting it down, something, it doesn't have, we don't need to take a project out, but I think we gotta make some kind of change, a little bit, you know? I don't know what, I don't know where, but
How
something.
much do we have set aside for the sewer?
you have the number there for capital?
Can you look at the capital budget and
I
see
don't
what-
have it in front of me.
For the capital?
Yeah, the capital budget for the 3 projects.
Security's gotta go.
It's like 15,000.
The security's gotta go.
The SRO's gotta go, and they need to.
Well, his first selectman doesn't know what the hell he's doing either.
He's freaking playing ring around the rosy.
14.5, do we wanna cut it to 13?
You know, I'll vote yes just because it's a change, it's something. Am I happy about it? No, but, I don't know, I mean, I don't know. Somebody, yeah, I guess. There's no pushback. Well, Sean might have pushback,
But
but I don't know.
If we cut the
so if you're
14,
cutting.
go ahead. No,
No, I
it's
guess
great.
I'm not allowed to ask.
No, go ahead,
If
John.
you're cutting it $1,000, so
There's not much difference.
what am I, am I, then, and then it gets approved, am I to find the cause it's a quote, it's not like it's not like I made up the number.
Right.
Like, the price is 14.5. The danger of it not going is that could cost you 3 times that if it completely fails. So I guess I'm not understanding the rationale of lowering it $1,000 when the quote is 14.5. I won't have enough money to have it done.
Agreed.
I guess I don't understand the rationale.
So,
The rationale is that,
I get to get it through the voters, but I won't have the money.
right. All right,
So I wouldn't be
that-
able to have it done.
No, that's good. That's good to talk to that. So that leaves the self-contained breathing apparatus.
How come
That
I don't
dollar
get yelled
amount
at
is
for
not gonna
talking?
change. And statutorily, you have to get those done. Or people can't go into the buildings.
Yeah.
Is
It
that-
jeopardizes the overall.
Is that a similar situation to the superintendent, where it's a quote, or is it like a per bottle quote? Like if we dropped it by $1,000, like we talked about with Sean, is it like you can still get so many bottles, or no?
No, the bottles are quoted for, like, the bottles,
Yeah,
all right? So part of that purchase that be coming up with the approval of this in the
Yeah.
new budget,
yeah,
part of that money was approved in the existing budget because it's capital, I can carry it over.
okay,
So we have to replace 25 bottles.
okay,
So part of that would get replaced
yeah,
with this money.
Yeah.
And that money, since it's gotta be done by August. So if I have to pull bottles,
yeah,
cause come August, I have to take them out of service, and if I don't have the bottles to replace them,
right. So you're replacing 25 bottles.
Total.
So what would happen if you only
we
replaced
have a quote on those.
24 bottles? Like
with
that's-
one less bottle, you get fined.
Okay, you get fined.
Really?
That's what I was looking, I didn't realize that. If you bought 25, you're good, but if you only bought 24, you're not
The
good.
way
I
the
didn't-
standard
I
is
didn't
set up, you're
realize
supposed to have 2 spare bottles per air pad, and that's
Okay.
what that comes out to.
that. Okay,
Thank you for clarifying that.
yep.
But
So
if you
that
find it
leaves-
right away or not, who knows, but that's. just
That leaves the
possibility.
security upgrades. We already cut that 25,000,
Yep.
and as Devin said, he works for the town of Windsor Locks, he'll do whatever we ask him with whatever money we give him, so he'll do what he can with it. I don't feel comfortable cutting more, to the safety of employees of our town.
Sure.
So, I am okay with leaving capital the way it is. If we make a motion, so be it if it fails, but. Alright, can I get a motion, well, I don't need to if we're not changing it, but we can do it again anyway, we can motion again if anybody feels comfortable with that, but we did last time.
I mean, I think that we should just keep it the same.
Okay.
Maybe do a better job selling.
Yeah.
I scratch
Explain what
my, I
it is.
scratch my head why they keep voting it down there. But they do.
We need to change the TIF budget, because the mill rate dropped, so
Yep.
now it's, you will need a motion for $454,598.
454, $598.
Is that based on the 22.25 mill rate or the 22.21 mill rate?
22.21. It's the mill rate that.
Yeah. So, okay.
Shouldn't it be on the one that was set?
I think so, so to get, so because when the mill rate was set, we needed to cut $635,000, but we ended up cutting $735,000. So to make it balance and to put the budget at a 22.25 mill rate, wouldn't we just reduce revenues, a one-time revenue by $100,000? And that would get the mill rate back to 22.25, then we can fix the TIF, not fix, but we can
Yeah.
adjust the TIF budget using the 22.25?
Yeah.
Or do we like the 22.21? I mean, I know that's what the math says, but
No, I
it
think
seems
that's,
like revenues and expenses are not balanced right now.
right, I think that's a good idea, Mike, we should.
And then 455,623.
455,
623.
623. Did you reduce a revenue, a one-time revenue on that, or how did you do that?
So essentially, when we calculate the revenues, is that the whole assessment times the collection rate and the mill rate divided by 1,000.
Was that what you were saying, that,
I'll agree with I guess the TIF number, because it's based on a 22.25 mill rate, the new one. As, if we're talking about the general operating budget, as long as the total revenues and the total expenses balance, fine. I'm not sure we're there yet.
and do they?
No, I mean, you've got extra 100,000, so
Right.
you'll get more revenues than.
So that's why Mike was saying we should cut 100,000 of a one-time revenue to get it balanced out.
I've never heard of this being done this way.
Generally, in Windsor Locks, we present balanced budgets, meaning revenues equal expenses. It looks like this budget here right now has roughly $100,000 more of revenue than it does of expenses, so.
And you do, so when the town sets the mill rate, if the difference between the set mill rate and, the actual budget is not material, no one is processing the refunds, essentially the excess revenue will just revert back to the general.
Which is right, which is why would we use one-time revenue? We just, if it's not needed, keep it for another year. But
You see what he's saying, Ariana, right?
I've just never saw it done this way, so
Where they balance? Where they-
no, if you set the mill rate, not necessarily.
Okay, I think I would feel more comfortable doing it with taking part of the one-time revenue out of there, to make sure we have a balanced budget, revenues and operating expenses.
You can budget it through the collection rate, too, because you have. There are a lot of variables in all of those taxes. I mean,
Absolutely.
it seems like we should go into the tax stabilization revenue line
I was just looking to see which other ones we have, but that's one of the big ones, yeah.
and take out, roughly $100,000, and hopefully the spreadsheet will push out a 22.25 mill rate.
I'm not doing it with the spreadsheet, I'm doing it manually, so it's not gonna push out the. Since you have your expenditures, you can just, if that's what you want, you can just vote on the same revenues, that's all.
I didn't follow what you just said, Jana.
So essentially, you have the previous budget, right, and now you subtract $735,000.
Mhm.
It gives you a budget of $64,434,350, so this is your essentially budget. So it will be the same on the revenue side. Because those are your expenditures that you're trying to achieve, your revenues to be equal to your expenditures, so you can just vote on that, the revenues. Right, that's like what you're trying to achieve, to make sure that your revenues are equal to your expenditures?
That's what I would prefer. How we get there, I think, is the discussion, but
Right.
ultimately, I'd rather have the taxpayers look at a balanced budget than an unbalanced budget.
Can you take that tax stabilization line, use of tax stabilization? Right now it's at $599,185 and make it $499,185?
Yeah, I could do it on flyer,
Yes.
Okay,
yeah. But in terms of the vote, you just essentially need to vote on this number that we have on. the-
correct, but we wanna make sure in the flyer that one side balances to the other side. Okay. You think we need to vote on that one, motion that one? Because we had the revenue that we voted on what the revenue should be.
Yeah. You wanna do that one now?
Yeah, I think we
Okay.
should.
So, okay, we just found it. So, I'll make a motion to approve the fiscal year 27 use of tax stabilization fund at $499,185, which is a reduction of $100,000.
Yep. Can I get a second?
A second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay. So the TIF budget then, Yana, was $455,623, right? I know you already closed it out, right? Just wanna triple check it,
Yes. It's always a good thing to
as
know.
does Mia.
No, I have it, it's the $455,623.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the fiscal year 27 TIF budget at $455,623?
So moved.
Sean makes the first, can I have a second? Roy makes the second, all those in discussion? All those in favor? Aye, it's unanimous. Okay. Thank you, Sean, for that. I think that covers all of that. Okay, public input. Mr. Ray.
Yeah, Kurt Brace, Elm Street. So first I wanna say that, you know, as always, I really, really wanna thank you guys. You give a lot of time to this, and I appreciate that. And I would say that, you know, you're all elected officials, and even if I didn't vote for you, all right, which I think I probably did, most of you, but anyway, even if I didn't vote for you, I feel like as a resident, I'm obligated to give you my respect for what you do and for the faith that people in our community put in you to be here and make sound decisions to help them come up with a budget for the town. What I have a real problem with, though, is people that are employees, that work on the board, that are supposed to assist the board, that aren't truly members of the board. I think it is totally out of place for you to criticize an elected official in my town that I grew up in, that I spent 60 years in this town. And I am deeply offended that anybody, especially anyone from the finance department, would stand up and you know, stand against an elected member of our government in this town. They are elected officials. Employees are employees. You could be a director, you could be an assistant director, you could be whatever, you know, and I have no confidence in the Board of Finance in this town. Reason why is, apparently, the person that we hired to run the department was never told the truth that that human resources was part of the job. That I find offensive, right? And I think what we heard. No, can I have my piece and then? All right, but yeah, all right. So I'm offended by that, and I don't know how you can expect the people of this town to entrust $65 million in a town that is collecting our taxes, that we have an assistant director that was taken off the job. We have a director that is talking about other employees wanting to unionize, not being compensated fairly. I don't know what needs to go on, but there are some very, very bad decisions that have been made in this town, and I, for one, am just sick of dealing with it. And I can guarantee you, setting this mill rate at that level, ridiculous, all right? And not allowing public input at that meeting and letting citizens talk directly to you, I have a problem with that. And I have a problem with trying to strong arm the people into what you think it is that they want, not what they want, because those people out there, the ones that show up at the poll, even if it's 1,500 or 1,200, it's a hell of a lot more than 50 that I've sat in plenty of budget meetings, and 50 people in that room have decided. And you know what? Probably 48 of them were employees from the town. We have some really great employees in our town. I appreciate it, but they are employees. But elected officials deserve our respect, and I will continue to they are not being paid to be here, and I will insist that they are treated as such. If there is a problem, a personal problem, then I would suggest that some other arrangements be made, because we're not going to start replacing elected officials. The other thing is, there's 2 questions on the ballot. You keep asking, there's 3 questions on the ballot. I'll tell you exactly, I'm voting no all the way down. And the reason that I do that is, one of the questions has to do with capital funds. Capital funds have been included in our budget for at least the time that I can remember. And I am firmly convinced that LoCIP funds, I don't care what Stafford does, LoCIP funds are people's funds. They are taxpayer money, and they deserve to, at least we have to let the people decide how that money's spent. And the same thing for TAR, and I don't care, town aid road funds. Buying an F-250 pickup truck when we said we couldn't afford a F-150? Give me a break. Town aid road. All we hear is people complain about the roads. So if you can take half of that and put it in as general revenue and give the other half as a slush fund to Public Works, we have a problem. We have a problem with all the reciprocal funds, the rotating funds that we have in different departments. That needs to be, everything needs to go on the books, and we need to look at every penny we can lay our hands on in order to keep this town running, because it's a very difficult time for the residents. Again, I want to thank the board for their time, and next.
Thank you. Lois?
Oh, I just wanted to say that I kind of feel like the library is being picked on, and I just want to go on record to say that this cut won't even
Isn't
cover
there
our
a going
baseline
nonprofit?
operations. And that even if we close for several days, the building still needs to have heat and lights to stay on. This decimates the library.
Go ahead, Mr. Brackett.
First off, I agree with Mia. She got stuck with a dirty hand where she didn't get compensated for the hours that she worked.
Yana.
That's Yana.
Oh, whatever, I'm sorry, Gianna. And the gentleman that was sitting there, I know his dad, he owned his own business. I don't know if he worked for his dad, but it must be a nice thing to work for your dad and get everything handed to you on a golden spoon. But when you're working in a job for a municipality and you work above and beyond what you're supposed to work, she could easily go to the Fair Labor Standards Act and say, hey, listen, I was made to do a job that's not in my job description and I want compensation for it. So we should be lucky that she's not doing that, because she'd be entitled to a hell of a lot of money. As far as talking to Mike at the voting polls, I went out to him after looking at the ballot, and I didn't recognize the question that was on the ballot. And I went out to him and I asked him, what is going on with the question on the ballot? I said, this is not the question that was brought up at the meeting. And I couldn't find the minutes on my cell phone, so I asked Mike for help. And yes, he spoke to me, but just as I'm sure every single one of you has spoken to your neighbors, I've seen you in the newspapers talking, you did an editorial, I think you had your girlfriend or your wife with you, you talked about being on the Board of Finance and stuff. There's nothing wrong with talking to people. And I trust him because he's honest. And he'll tell you, if he can tell you something that's going on that's part of public interest or public record, he'll tell you, this is what's going on, this is what I think. And I tell him, you know, I have a house. I already pay over $6,000 in taxes on a year. I can't afford $12,000 a year. And I told him, if they passed that budget the way it was, I have a for sale sign going up in front of my house. I've been in that house for over 26 years. I've lived in this town 63 years. And I said, everything's going outrageously nuts as far as the budget. And so anyways, I could not find the minutes on my cell phone. So Mike looked on his cell phone and he couldn't find them either. And when I brought to his attention the question that was on it, he said that he didn't even remember there being a motion. And after I looked at it, we discovered tonight when she read it in here that there's a motion. I actually went and I looked at the motion on my cell phone. And one of the things that I've noticed, and it's maybe just the way that she writes, but some of the headings are in capital letters, but yet some of them aren't. Some of your motions are in capital letters and bold caps. The motion that I brought up that I was discussing is not. It's in regular type. So it's very easy to scan over the top of it and miss it, because some of your motions that you made, and you made a bunch of them that night, are in capital letters, bold capital letters, and saying Sean Twitchell made this motion and this is what happened. That particular motion is not. It's in regular letters. So we missed it. The thing is that the language that was discussed the night of the meeting and voted upon is the language that should have appeared on the ballot. So what I did is I went and I wrote down the actual language that's on my cell phone that was voted on that night during that meeting, and there's 11 words. And there were not 11 words on that ballot. So the language that was voted on that night during that meeting is not the same language that is on that ballot. And I'd like a copy of a ballot, a blank ballot, when I leave here, because that's the evidence that I have for my FOI complaint and my complaint to the election officials. Because the thing is that when I spoke to Mike had said, and I remember this being specific the night of that meeting, that there was discussion about putting the same language that was on Summers, Connecticut's ballot for their financial woes. And if that's the case, that somebody decided that we're just gonna run Summers, Connecticut's question on our ballot and the heck with Windsor Locks' question that we voted upon, then it's still a violation. Because that question that was posed on the ballot here that ran in Windsor Locks' election is not the same question that was voted on at your meeting. And that's what I'm trying to say to you, is that when you make a motion, and I saw you do it tonight, Patty, you made motions, and Sean made, made the first, Mike made a second on it, and then there was discussion, and then there was a vote. That is the motion. It cannot be changed after the fact. And then the gentleman from the schools started asking about comments that were made in previous votes. And our first selectman actually got involved in some of the conversation as well. And that it really upset me, because that's last meeting, you threatened to throw me out of the meeting because we got into a heated discussion over that. When I told you that you cannot discuss anything that's not a part of that ballot outside of that ballot. Meaning that, and I hate to pick on you, I'm not picking on you really, believe it or not. If it's not a part of the ballot, sir, if it's not an official question, it cannot be asked of the board.
Mr. Bracken, can you wrap it up, please?
Yeah, I will wrap it up. So basically what I'm saying is that if it's not a part of the ballot, no comments or statements can be made outside of that actual ballot. So for you people to have a short little discussion, I understand it was short, but it was unlawful. And lastly, I'm hoping that Chief Osanich's make-believe $100,000 give back isn't a part of his taking away or giving back money to the town. And my last comment is, I've been saying this all along, there are more police cruisers going home to residences outside of this town than there are cruisers that are on patrol in the town of Windsor Locks. And for years,
Mr. Bracken, your time's up.
for
Is there anybody else?
you let Mr.
Mr. Bracken?
I want, just let me finish my statement. I got couple more words. You let
Enough. Thank
Mr.
you.
Bray spoke quite lengthy.
Thank you. Not as long as you did. Any, Ms. Palmer?
Well, we can tell by the meter on her
Linda
clock.
Palmer, 15 North Main Street. You guys think you made a cut tonight? You guys did absolutely nothing. You need to make cuts to the higher positions, not to the activities of the kids, not to the seniors, not to the single mothers. You guys need to take responsibility. The spending in this town is outrageous. You guys haven't shown a budget audit since 2023. Where has the money been spent for the past 2 years? Also, you guys got rid of Jason Linthrop. What charges are being filed against him? He's the one that got you where you are right now.
No?
Yeah, pretty much so.
Not quite.
Selectman Storms, yeah. You were involved in it too. Because I don't think you know what you're doing. You stand up there with your
Linda,
hands
do
in
you
your
have comments
pockets.
on the budget, not on personnel, please?
Yeah, make cuts to the higher personnel
I got that now.
and don't affect the kids or the seniors. You're picking on the wrong people.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Mr. Russo?
William Russo, 407 Elmer Drive. And I would just like to lead off and say that we all owe one another mutual respect, regardless of what you think their personal performance is. We owe one another mutual respect. We need to criticize and comment on the function, not the person, and that everybody here should be respected. I would like, because I'm a little confused on the capital equipment, what exactly are we planning for the security? And then I would like to make additional comments. Where is that security going to be used? Town hall, town highway? I'm confused.
So generally, as you know, it's not a back and forth, but because you said you have other comments based on the answer to
I do,
that-
but I just need to understand.
I will tell you what the Public Works Director had said, it's in all buildings, and he won't get into details on what it is because he doesn't want to show where there's vulnerabilities.
So it's all town buildings, is that
I
correct?
believe that's what he said. Without him here, I don't know. for
Okay,
sure.
and I believe our employees deserve as much security as they can have, okay?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Russo.
No, I'm not done.
No, I meant thank you for the thank you.
Again, I'd like to thank the board for their efforts. But my feelings and my comments, you're still playing nice. Sean, you're still playing nice. And until the Board of Finance understands that the public doesn't want you to play nice by protecting the golden cows, there are certain institutions here, and public safety is a priority, education is a priority. This young lady back there is a priority, but I can tell you this, playing nice, and you've played nice tonight because you haven't gone far enough, this next referendum is gonna go down. Simply because the Board of Finance in the town were caught between, when, Patty, when you said the feedback is we're feeling threatened, when you say you're gonna cut the library, that's a place that maybe all of us could use, maybe the young lady will use. Our parks, we have X amount of people to take care of the parks. Maybe certain functions will not be able to occur in the parks. But the last thing I want is to put out a poor visual to the public. And this is where the public, in my personal feelings, come back and say, you're threatening us. Because when you get in there and you cut things that the public uses, we're the public. We want to be able to use the pool. We want to be able to have those parks open to our kids. And the Board of Finance is caught in a catch-22. Right now, I happen to know that our police department is at full staff. And when the chief said, oh, I'll cut $100,000 off the overtime, that made me laugh. Because you yourself agrees that he should have 500,000. And there are always exceptions in police work, always exceptions in public works, things that just happen that are unanticipated. So, I think I'm done.
Thank you, Mr. Russo.
You guys have not gone deep enough. Listen to what the public is telling you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the room?
Don't forget the 350,000 Noden Reed building.
Me,
Yeah,
yeah,
did you
Heather
want-
McAfee, Civic 3 Northwood Drive. I don't know how it's possible to open a discussion between all the no votes for the folks who don't want an increase, which I obviously don't want. I spoke at the last meeting, about my grandparent. My grandmother was 95 who lives in town. My parents who are also in town on a fixed budget. I get and respect that. I said that last time. But I also am living in, between a rock and a hard place with young children, 3 of which go to school in this town, who now we're talking about won't have plowed roads, won't have parks to play in, won't go to the library, which we go to weekly and participate in the programs. All 3 of them are competitive swimmers, won't be able to swim if we close the pool. How do we open up a discussion between those that are so strongly opposed to the increase, but also need to have these things for our kids and their safety? Like, how does that happen? I can't control what the Board of Ed cuts from their budget. That is not my job. I can go and speak up, as I did, and made everybody take a recess because I tend to be outspoken with my opinion, but I can't control the line items in the Board of Ed budget. But basically, we're saying a $1.7 million cut to the Board of Ed from this year. You've gotta be kidding me. This is not the town I grew up in. This is not the town I graduated from. A, it's a lot less safe than it was when I grew up and graduated in 99. I mean, and now I've gotta raise my kids in here. I'm telling you that if there is a $1.7 million cut, just like these folks over here, who I respect their position, a for sale sign will be going on my front yard. I've already been looking. Like, it's disgusting.
It's happening.
And we have one of the highest, one of the most expensive houses in town in terms of our neighborhood being a nice neighborhood. And, you know, it's worth twice what we paid for it because of the assessment and everything. So that's where we're at. You're gonna drive the young families out of town. You know, sometimes there's gotta be give and take. Sometimes there's gotta be an increase for the things we want, but there's gotta be an open discussion in some way for the hard nose because they don't want an increase, and the hard nose because we wanna keep what's good for our kids. Where does that start? I don't know.
Thank you.
That's what I've got.
Thank you, Heather. Anybody else in the room? Do we have any hands raised online?
There's 2.
Who do we have?
Steve?
Steve again? Same one, Steve
Yeah,
again?
hi.
Hi,
Thanks for the work you did tonight. I would have liked to have seen, I'm not somebody that uses the library. I don't use the library at all. I probably should, but I don't. But I'm not happy that we took such a big chunk from them. In my opinion, and I don't know, and I said this earlier, I don't know the details of it. I would have liked more coming out of the Board of Ed and the police. And I get the safety thing. I understand what all you guys are saying. And I haven't looked into this far enough, and you can tell me if I'm wrong if you want to, and I'm fine with that. But I know from when I went to school, the administrators that most towns have, and I don't know if it's Windsor Locks, they are so heavy on administration, it's beyond what it should be. My wife was a school teacher for 35 years, and I'm well versed on what goes on in the hiring on the administration end. She had people that came to her, and I won't tell her what her department was, but she's dealing with kids that have severe issues, or did work with them. And she was being checked by people who had half the education of her, but they made twice the money of her. And what they did for her was attempted to be good, but they were getting these high paychecks because towns were putting in these administrators that were collecting big paychecks, and she's doing the hard work, and they're doing paperwork and all that kind of stuff. Not saying that's Windsor Locks, I haven't looked into it enough, but that's where I'd be looking. but I appreciate what you guys are doing. And I'll say this too, and I don't know if that is the superintendent that's sitting there or what, but you guys were talking about a sewer job that was 14.5. I don't do that kind of work, but I know somebody does. He's a contractor in Windsor Locks, and if he could do that job for 13, if it needs to be 13, that would be a great thing. So if he wants, I'll send him that information, and he can contact that contractor. He's licensed. He does work all over the state, and he's like I said, he's based in Windsor Locks. If you want me to send it to you, I'll send it to you. You can give him a call. That's your call. But I appreciate your time, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. And who else we got? Paul?
Hi, this is Sue. Can you hear me?
Yep.
This is Sue Bushnick, 81 North Main Street. I'm the chair of the library board, and just a couple of comments. I first wanted to start out by reading our mission statement at the library. The Windsor Locks Public Library provides equal access to diverse resources and services that enhance the intellectual, creative, and leisure development of the community. Now, that's a mission statement our board put together in 2024, as well as a comprehensive strategic plan to serve the community. And one of those items is fiscal responsibility. I, was shocked to learn that the budget cut would be a 50% cut to the budget of the library, from $570,000 to $235,000. Just looking at the budget, which I have in front of me now, I'm not even sure how we can meet our contractual obligations or keep our doors open the same hours as we have today. The library has become a respected entity in town and has value, and I think adds quality and meaning to our residents. Lois and her team do a tremendous job of really making it look easy, but it's not. I will tell you that even with the cuts made last year, we took that seriously and figured out how to try to make it work. It may look like it's still working well for our patrons, and that's what our intent is, but behind the scenes, they put a lot of time and effort into running the operations. All of the data that we showed the Board of Finance when we presented the board that Lois had shows that our numbers are up, the satisfaction is up, everything they've worked so hard and we've worked so hard as a board to achieve, we're accomplishing that. And to pull that now from our community, I think is a disservice. I would invite anyone who has not been to the library to come down. If you haven't seen what we do there, please come into our doors. The library adds value to our community. It supplements the education. The kids are there, the seniors are there. Hardworking families come in every day, and they compliment us all the time with how much value it really adds to their life. So I would just ask that you take 15 minutes, 20 minutes to come down. We'd be glad to give you a tour and show you what the library is all about if you don't already know that. I just wanted to say that we're gonna have to really regroup if this budget does pass, because cutting the budget by 50%, I was just looking back on some numbers from historical perspective on what our budget was. And in 2017, it was way more than the 235,000. I really don't know how we're going to approach that number at all. So I just wanted to respond. I know it's a tough year, and it hurts everyone, but I think that cutting some of our, and I've heard it, non-essential services, I really think the library is an essential service, and we should reconsider really relooking at the numbers and trying to make a better effort at rounding out our community and not destroying it. It just is very concerning for the library, for the board, and I think our community should be alarmed as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. One more?
Hi Patty, it's Tammy.
Hey, Tammy.
Hey, I was going back and forth, so I wasn't sure
if more cuts were being made to Park and Rec. And if they were, I'm pretty sure that the day camp is still going on. And I don't know if they would even consider closing the pool because you have the day camp there. And didn't we just pay a ton of money not too long ago to fix the pool? So I would imagine you'd have to still do your upkeep. So what good would it be closing the pool if that's even something someone's thinking of doing? You're still gonna have to keep it up, and we just paid a lot of money to fix it. And what about the day campers, the kids that are there during the day? So that's just my comment.
Okay, thank you, Tammy. And did you say there's one more? No? Board member. Do we have any board member input? I guess the one thing that I would say is, I hear everything that everybody is saying tonight. I hear everything that the voters have said at the ballot boxes. 14 to 15% of our town's registered voters have voted. They have strongly voted no. And that tells us they want a lower budget. I know people talk about no golden cows or no special things to keep the money out. I think, Mr. Russo, you said this evening, don't touch anything that our taxpayers use. What is there in our budget that our taxpayers don't use?
Well, what I said is that the people perceive those as threats when you cut services that the public would use. Because you had said earlier that a lot of what you're getting for feedback is coming back to you, well, the public's being threatened. And I just try to clarify when you cut services, library, parks, those are services that are frequently used by the general public. And they're sort of sacred to the public. They want those services open.
Okay, and thank you, and I did hear that, but what I'm saying is, everything that's in this budget, in order to run this town, there has to be people in this building to run this town. In order to
Absolutely.
keep our streets and our parks and the snow off of our sidewalks and our streets done, we need to have public works. In order to keep everything safe, all the stuff that goes on that most people, half of it they don't even know about, we have to have public safety stuff. That has to happen.